So for Unit 1 Activity 4, we're getting into geographic perspectives. And this is a pretty interesting activity because everything that sort of happens impacts one of the four perspectives. And so to start off, the mind's on it just gives you a little activity to go through to start introducing you to those perspectives. And then it moves into the action section. So your four perspectives are a social perspective, which means there's going to be some sort of social component that happens. There's a political perspective, so different people have different interests, and it might be totally political. We often hear about decisions being political in the sense that maybe they weren't the right decision to make, but politically it was the best decision, let's say, in terms of somebody getting reelected. The other area that you could take a look at is an economic perspective. So the economic perspective has to do with money and those different types of things. And then the last perspective that you have is the environmental perspective. And so in this situation, it's impacting the environment somehow. So these are the four perspectives that almost everything that happens that we're going to study geographically can be tied into one of those perspectives. So now once you are familiar with those four perspectives and you're comfortable with those, you'll be able to start completing a perspectives analysis. In this situation, we're looking at a case study, and it's the Beast. So this was the Fort McMurray fire from a few summers ago. So it's providing you with a bunch of information here. There's maps. Along the left-hand side, there's going to be different people who are speaking from different perspectives. And so basically, you're going to use all this information here, and you're going to start to complete a geographic perspectives. And there's a blank interactive one here. Again, interactives are great. Takes you through step by step and lets you get those done. In this situation, you're looking at submitting your graphic organizer and your geographic perspectives paragraph to this assignment Dropbox. So the work that you've done up here, so again, that's where the organizer was. The organizer link was right here. Then that's what you're going to basically submit into this Dropbox. So a bit more detailed, a bit more work to go into some of these assignments, but it's quite interesting. There's also a peer assessment in this situation. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your finished geographic perspective study, and you're going to put it into the discussion. And then what will happen is that you'll complete a peer assessment of a classmate's finished geographic perspective study using a template. So again, you click right here on this blue. That'll open up the template. When peer assessing, remember, these are things that you want to make sure you do. And you want to make sure you use the template found in the link above to create your sentence starters. Submit only your 4 sentences that you created, and be sure to link your feedback in each sentence to a specific success criteria. All right, so going back through to take a look at those things. Alrighty, so that was that one there. That's in a discussion item. And then the last piece is a consolidation. I'm going to take a whole bunch of the information you've just sort of worked with and you've just learned, and you're going to basically create a news item. So in this case, you're supposed to assume you work for CBC, it could be CTV, any of the news feeds that are on television, but in this case, the national. And so you're sort of trying to make yourself a little video clip of a story here covering what's happened in Fort McMurray. So it's 1 to 2 minutes. So it shouldn't be less than 1, shouldn't be more than 2. And this is about how the fire affected the citizens of Fort McMurray. And it's based on one geographic perspective only. So you need to pick your geographic perspective and then zero in on it. So don't cover them all, but you'll pick one of the 4 geographic perspectives, which we find up here in the interactive. So it's either going to be the social, the political, the economic, or the environmental perspective. But do a good job of making sure you cover that. And again, be sure to consult the rubrics. The rubrics are usually attached to the discussion items, or they're attached to the drop boxes, so you can see exactly how it's being marked. Here's all your requirements once again. Here's some tips for it. And then programs could be iMovie, could be Audacity. The trick is going to be finding a way to save it so that it fits into the Dropbox. Because if it's too large, it's not going to fit. Some tricks are taking the video, go into, let's say, your Gmail account, try to email it back to yourself in your Gmail account. It usually asks if you want to compress it. You could then compress your video to a smaller format. So the trick is to find a way to do that. Or you could use Screencastify to create it. That's also a possibility. YouTube, whatever you're comfortable with doing, is sort of finding a way to do that. PowerPoint also allows you to insert audio into slides. Most of you have access to PowerPoint within your school computers. And so it allows you to basically have a slide and then the functionality to record what's happening as well within PowerPoint. So you'll need to sort of figure out a way to do that based on your preference. And then once that's done, you'll submit that to this Dropbox right here. And then once again, once that's done, share the same video or audio file in the class discussion. Watch some of your classmates' videos. And again, there's a template here complete a peer assessment for one classmate's video by determining if he or she was able to capture and communicate the geographic perspectives convincingly. Again, submit only the 4 sentences that you created using the sentence starters from the template. And that would go into that discussion there. So a lot of this, a little bit different in terms of the technology that's involved. So let me know if you're having any issues with some of the technology. Don't be afraid to even Google, right? Google's got all kinds of videos showing how to do things, and that should help to make this a whole lot easier.